Hello, welcome to our podcast, episode 100. 100 episodes. Wow, it's insane to think that I've done 100 episodes of this. It's insane, you know, you know, especially since, the scheduling of the Our podcast has constantly probably changed, over the time that I've been doing it. Yeah, like now it's daily. Yeah, probably will change again at some point. But nonetheless, 100 episodes. But today's topic is to be human because, um, you know, there's my other podcast, the To Be Human podcast, and, I feel like, sure, there's other things maybe I could do for 100 or you know, you know, episodes maybe, something around Al, the character, the reason why, this is called our podcast in the first place, because I'm not even called Al, My name's Sebastian, that might as well be the opposite of Al. I mean, mine's long for a name, you know, compared to two letters, AL. Um, you know, my, first initial is, S, which, is basically, on the opposite side of, the alphabet to A. You know, you know, basically my real name, it's opposite in a lot of ways to Al, so, but I called it the Al podcast because, everything has to come back to my character somehow. But yeah, but yeah, so yeah, that could have been one idea, but, what would I have done? I have no idea what I would have done. Like it, would it be a skit? Would it be, referencing all the things I previously done that would take a lot of effort? You know, you know, you know, you know, you know. It'd be very long-winded. I might do it, at some later point, for 200. I don't know, but yeah, if I get that far, but I don't think I'm going to go beyond to 100 episodes. Eventually, I want to, probably do something different. I don't know, do something new. So, the Hour podcast, eventually, despite, being able to be out of character, which, was the whole point of why this was created in the first place, to get me out of character, you know, break the shell. It hasn't really produced the results I wanted from it, I would hope, more people would, be engaged with it, but seeing that, I cover a variety of topics, you know, you know, not everyone, how do I best phrase this? Um, every, like, there are a lot of ideas, but, a lot of things I like, but not everyone will always be interested. Yeah, that's the best way to say it. Like, everyone will have their own, you know, things they'll enjoy. Sure, some episodes, will, some people will watch, because they're interested on it, but, then other topics they might completely ignore because, I'm covering a variety of things because I'm into a variety of things more than, probably any usual person, because, I've played, 200 plus games, that I've played over, my many years of gaming, many things that I watch, and, so many of them fall into, different genres and stuff that there's no way that there's someone exactly like me. There might be people similar that, have a lot of things they like, a lot of things they may enjoy, but, you know, basically, out of, regular people, I'm a bit of, an anomaly because I'm into just so many different things. Like, yeah, again, mainly, game related and all that internet based stuff, but nonetheless, still, like, I'm someone, into many, many different things. Thank you, um, Beach Bee. Thank you. But yeah, nonetheless, it's like impossible, basically. Well, not impossible, but more, you know, improbable to, be interested in so many things at once. Because I did it, I've done, things that may seem, impossible, you know, so, it's more improbable, you know. Yep, my upload schedule is crazy. I put a lot of work into this, and I hope, it pays off, and I guess it has paid off, but, but yeah. But yeah, it is insane. But yeah, not everyone can be interested in everything. That's just reality, and as time goes on, you have to worry more about real life than, you know, um, you know, than your hobbies or whatever. Which is why, a fact like my insane video schedule has actually diminished over time. You know, despite it might not seem that way at surface glance. You know, I'm gonna show again. I'll have to remember to edit this later, but here, the insane schedule. The absolutely insane madness. That is my schedule. I don't know how I did this, but I did do this. Yeah, but yeah, and it's like over multiple months. Even up to like some of these are like 9 months old or something like that. Oh, and I've recently dipped under, 400. I was sustaining at 400 for a while, but I guess I finally dipped into the over 350 territory. This is just showing that, time is slowly but inevitably catching up with me, You know, I'm pretty certain I did that Michael stuff like a really long time ago. Like, let me look. Yeah, 9 months ago. I am exactly pinpoint when I said 9 months. Yeah. But eventually that 9 will turn to, you know, 3 into, well, that 9 will first become 8, I guess. But the 9 will become 8, which will become 7, which will become, 6, then 5, 4, and then 3, which, is currently where it would be at because, you know, this is January, so between January and April, now the difference would be 3 months by the time some of this comes out. Um, but yeah, eventually the 3 will become 2, 2 will become 1, and then soon it'll be counting down weeks instead of months, and eventually soon weeks will become days, and then, you know, days, won't be a problem, or, well, not a problem, but, you know, it'll be all inconsequential in the end. I went from, the peak of, you know, um, um, the peak of, 650 scheduled videos, that was crazy. 650 plus videos scheduled. That was my peak. Like, I figured that would be my peak, but yeah. Yeah. You know, but yeah. Now I'm, you know, basically beginning, the descent, for many years it was on the rise, but now I'm, at my descent, I'm at the fall. Hopefully not, the fall, my channel or anything, because, I still plan to do stuff, but nonetheless, time is catching up with me, and, you know, I don't have the same amount of time I can put into this, you know, anymore. So yeah, time slowly catches up with you. So yeah, but hopefully, you know, hopefully I'll get far enough, you know, to a good point, before I have to cut back too much. Because I would like that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But anyway, um, anyway, to the topic, the actual proper topic of this 100th episode, um, you know, which is to be human. So, yeah, this episode, it's almost like cross promotion to my other podcast that I do. But, yeah. So, I guess I'm just going to be talking in general, you know, similar to the pilot episode of To Be Human. And I guess this will sort of act as a extra To Be Human, you know, episode, but not technically an official one, you know. Otherwise it'd get confusing if I added them to the same playlist. That'd just be confusing. So, yeah. But nonetheless, yeah. What is it to be human? Well, I guess that depends on your definition of humanity. But for me, you know, it's to try and be the best person possible and actually really try and be, you know, open minded, because even when you try to be open minded, you know, sometimes inevitably you can be closed minded without, you know, even realizing it, you know, because usually you are inevitably forced to think in one way, you know, whatever your one way is, that doesn't really matter, but nonetheless, you'll think however your way, you know, is the way to go about things, you know, whether that be true or not, is kind of like how humans think, you know. Even me who tries to be open minded, you know, can even can realize, you know, maybe I haven't been fully open minded enough. Maybe, you know, I'm too judgmental, maybe this or that or anything. But there is definitely a time for barriers and boundaries and, you know, a time for rules, because, you know, rules are set in place to make things hopefully fair and, you know, balanced. Sure, you know, we might not enjoy some rules, but, you know, it kind of has to be that way, because, you know, without rules, you know, there can be chaos. But also, chaos can be freeing and liberating and all that. So it's all balance between, you know, order and chaos, and, you know, light and dark, always balance. Yang and always comes down to, at the end of the day, balance. You gotta balance, you know, reality between, you know, what you want and what needs to be done. There's no perfect way of things, just certain ways, and that can lead people to certain actions, even though those actions may be, you know, not always what they want, and yeah, you know, to be human is complex, you know, you know, there's so many different things, you know, that make up people, and, you know, you can fall into only following like one path, even if you're open minded, like myself. Like, I was recently thinking about, um, you know, you know, corporatism, like people again, the business leaders, whatever, the people that only seem to care about money because, part of me, is like, screw these guys, they don't care about anyone but themselves and the money, like, you know, they don't really seem to care. There's obviously exceptions, but nonetheless, the actual bad ones don't seem to care. Like, why should I care for them? But then, I also came to a realization of, like, well, in the end of the day, it was their own, family and, life that led them to be that way, to care only about money. So, can you really stay mad at someone that, didn't even fully make the choice themselves and life just kind of forced them into the choice? Can you fully blame, you know, them, you know? So, the one part of me is like, I don't care, screw them. But the other part of me is, like, well, but you know, they may, never wanted this. Like, you know, they may have been forced into it. And now it's their only way of thinking, They've repressed who they may have once been, Any freedom, probably stripped away, you know. And yeah, you know, gotta feel bad for them. So yeah, yeah. My mind is often, divided, you know, part of me, is like, screw 'em, and part of me is like devil's advocate almost. Or, being sympathetic slash empathetic, towards them. So yeah, you know, you know, honestly, if I ever had the chance to, speak to, like a big boardroom of, those sort of people, the the people that are, managing the money, I'd try and, probably like break through to them, because I'm like, this is like my one and only chance to actually talk to these people, face to face. If I can break through to these guys, maybe there's a chance, the world could be better. But you never know. You never know. Because, you know, I guess the best way to break through to them is ask them some actual deep, thoughtful questions and, make certain they actually answer properly because I'm sure some of them would be dismissive at first. But if I'm persistent enough, maybe, that can lead to change. As in the end of the day, persistence pays off, you know. But yeah, um, yeah, you know, who knows if I can or cannot break through to them? Only time will tell. But yeah, there's so many complexities to be human, so many parts of life, so many things, you never know what life will throw at you, the good and bad, the other complexities of life. It's just a lot, a lot. And, yeah, to be human is ultimately up to you. I'm just trying to, give advice that hopefully will actually make a difference, to try and be wiser, to try and be smart, to try and be kinder, to actually think for a second, and to actually, um, try and be better, you know. But yeah, like, just to try and be human, to be human. That's the whole point, of the podcast, and yeah, and I feel like doing it for the 100th episode of this podcast is a much more important thing than doing something like that hour thing, which I'm probably will do at 200. You know, the 200th episode, you know, or more important than doing a multi-topic episode, because I do occasionally do two topics in one episode, so I guess for the 100th one I could have done like 3 or 4. But, that isn't what really matters to me. Like, the topics are just, you what, fills in the episodes, what really matters is, what matters to me as a person. So, doing this on To Be Human is the best way of, the best use of this episode, because hopefully, seeing that's episode 100, hopefully, more people would be watching it, because it's a, special number. And hopefully, what really matters, gets to more people, and then, hopefully I'll help. I don't know. And I don't know. Maybe it's all in vain, but you'll never know. And sure, technically, eventually it'd be meaningless. Like, eventually I will be dead and everything I've built will be gone after time. But, I have to hope that, what I did, helped someone, it helped at least someone. But yeah, there's so much complexity to humanity, I don't know. To be human is complex. It's like art. you know, beauty and chaos into merges one. There's imperfections even in the best art, you know, you know, even in, like the Mona Lisa, there would be imperfections. But what is defined as an imperfection, that also can, be subjective, you know, what makes something good or perfect, again, subjective. Art is subjective, you know, we don't really know about the world truly, so it's technically subjective, no matter how much scientific proof we may put to the world, prove things scientifically, like science, technically is a theory, you know, nothing is technically fact. Like, sure, we can, put a number to gravity and, call that a scientific fact. Like, here's our gravity, is how we calculate it by, the scientific method. But, science in the end of the day is technically just a theory. Everything is just theoretical. Reality is based on, what we perceive it as, and how long will reality go? We don't know. We could be dead tomorrow for all we know. Like, things could suddenly end. We just have to count ourselves lucky that we're still here. Like, sure, science is like, we're not just gonna disappear out of the blue, but how can we be certain of that, There's no certainty in anything. There's nothing certain and there's nothing uncertain. Like, there's nothing impossible, Well, uncertain, also, depends on your definition of uncertainty. But yeah, other than, the definitions of thing, like, what is impossible defined as? What is certainty defined as? But let's just, assume, impossible means, impossible, and certain means certain. The very definitions of the words, you know, you know, nothing is certain, nothing's impossible. And nothing's uncertain, It's all just kind of random, and sure, we know how things are now, but how can we be certain that, things will stay this way? Sure, they've stayed this way so far, but how are we certain that it won't just suddenly change out of the blue? We have no certainty of that. We just have to hope that we'll continue to go on and exist until eventually we die, which will be our true and final end when we die of old age if we manage to dodge death in every other way conceivable, you know, we should count ourselves lucky, meaning technically we're being as lucky as Rasputin. Sure, we're not being, actively, technically poisoned by things we would classify as poison, but then again, think about all the microplastics that are probably in things, all that plastic that's probably getting in your system. Like, you're probably unintentionally consuming a lot of plastic, throughout your whole life. So, you know, you know, you're, in a way that's technically dangerous and potentially harmful and poisonous in a way, you know. All depends on your definition of poison. So, yeah, we might as well be Rasputin if we've lived a full life. Because, sure, we may have never directly dealt with some of the things like Rasputin did, but nonetheless, we lived a long, you know, hopefully healthy and hopefully, you know, relatively happy life, you know. Obviously, there'll always be ups and downs, but yeah, hopefully, overall had a, you know, fulfilling life by the end. So, yeah, you know, to be human is just to, you know, go through your life. There's no right path and there's no wrong path. There's just the path you follow. And sure, you may be able to decide how that path changes along the way, but nonetheless, you're stuck to that path until death. It always ends in the same footnote, being death, you know. You know, well, the same epilogue, I guess, being death. And I guess that's just how things are. Just be glad that you're still alive somehow, even after all this time, despite the insanity and all that of life and whatever may be going on in your head, you know, that you're still alive at the end of it all. And I guess that's worth living for, just being alive. But yeah, to be human is complex, you know. There's so much to it. But yeah, you know, I probably, you know, have a lot more to, you know, say, you know. Yeah, again, I'm going to be continuing to do the To Be Human podcast, but I don't want this to drag on for too long, you know. I do eventually, you know, want to get to the point, but is there even a point, you know, in the end of the day when things are uncertain, unpredictable? I guess not. I guess there's no point other than just, you know, exist. As long as you can, you know, as far as you can, you know, because, you know, that's really the only thing you can do is live. Live through life's experiences, experience life properly, you know, do things, you know, do whatever it is that pleases you, do something unexpected, or do the same old usual, like, you know, watching YouTube, or, you know, do something exciting, you know, it's all up to you. You make your choices, you know. You decide your life, you know. You know, in the end, all I'm trying to do is, you know, offer my advice, which, whether it's helpful or not, you know, who knows, you know. At least one thing I'm certain that is useful advice is the advice that I continue to give is get a job while you're young, you will need it. Get a job, it's needed in the modern world while you're young. Because if you don't have the work experience, then it's going to be harder to get a job because you need a job to get work experience. But without work experience, you know, you can't get a job. It's, a catch, 22. But at least if you're young, people might understand more that, oh, it's their first job, they're young. We we figure they probably won't have any experience yet, so we'll give them an opportunity, you know, to join us. But once you're actually an adult, it becomes really hard to, you know, you know, get a job because they're probably, now looking at it instead of, being, you know, kind and probably, empathetic, like, oh, they're young, but nonetheless, it's their first job most likely. They're like 15, 16 years old. Let's just give them the job. But when you're like 21, like I am, it'll be like, this person's 21, they haven't worked a day in their life, no real work experience. Let's not hire them. You know, we need someone, you know, who could be reliable. So, yeah, perception, really ruins things. Not to mention if you write, your resumes or, cover letters in a certain way, certain people may not accept it, So, yeah, that's just simple life advice that will most likely always be accurate because, jobs are really needed, especially at times like these. And it makes me really wish, that I earned anything, from either YouTube or Twitch, by the time, this video comes out. Maybe things would have changed. Maybe I'll be at 500 subscribers and have the 3,000 watch hours I need. And maybe, just maybe, even though it's unlikely, I would have have 3 consecutive viewers on enough of my Twitch streams to, actually, hit Twitch affiliate. But, I doubt that. Hey, Aria the cat, welcome. But, yeah, so yeah. Again, my life advice, get a job early is needed. It is definitely needed. Because otherwise you get stuck in the catch 22 and funny enough, this year I turned 22, so, it's funny, in a weird way. I'm 20, soon to be 22. I'm currently in a catch 22, it's kind of funny irony, funny irony. But yeah, nonetheless, yeah, that's the one piece of advice that will probably reign true until, I don't know, the sci-fi stuff, hopefully. Hopefully sci-fi, becomes real. Hopefully, currency no longer needs to be a thing. Or it'll be like a unified currency, because that would actually be probably good to have some sort of, unified, currency, because, that'll mean everyone's, at an equal level, you know, hopefully, you know, and means, countries that are in, poor wealth, would hopefully benefit from it, and, already rich and well established countries, would be, you know, equalized a little bit, you know, create an even base war, But who knows if the stuff of sci-fi and all that will become reality, because I don't see that happening anytime in the nearby future, you know. So yeah. But anyway, I'm starting to ramble a bit. So I think that'll be at the end of the 100th episode of our podcast. So yeah, 100 episodes. And hopefully, another 100 to go. But, I could stop earlier than 200. I doubt I'll go past 200, because eventually, you know, you know, potentially something new or different would be interesting, or I honestly don't know. Honestly, don't know. But yeah, for now, that'll be it for our podcast. Thanks for watching.